G'day all. What I thought I'd do is just do a bit of an intro to points and track work for Australian modelers. We're sort of a bit in a strange position. We don't exactly have what we want. We have to get it from different places to make it work. So what I'm going to do is just outline the stuff that I've used or I'm going to use and give you my tips, I guess, for that. So the first thing I'm going to show you is microengineering. Now this is an American company and they produce code 70 points, as you can see up here, code 70, number 6. And that's all they produce is number 6 in this scale in HO. And it comes like that, okay? It is, as it says there, digital command control compatible, no modification. And by that they mean that not only is it capable of just sprung loaded point, okay, so there's no need to have a any sort of secondary control or a point motor. They've joined the closure rails together here and here, okay, which means that you put power in either end, it's going to come out the other side except for across the frog. The frog is dead and it's a cast frog, okay, and on the back here is a small spot for you able to put a dropper if you need to switch it, have it switchable. So it comes out in code 70, and this is what I've used for Alice Springs Yard and parts of Barcoola Yard. They're fairly robust, it's not a problem, and they don't come in weathered at all, I don't believe at this point. They come exactly like that, so you have to do all the rest of it, okay? So they also make an 83 version. So your 83 version is no difference, but it's easy to tell because it says 83, okay? And it is a heavier rail. So this would be doing for most of your standard gauge main lines or broad gauge main lines, etc. And that is what that is, okay? For the other layouts I've used on code 70, this is Shinohara track. Now, I don't believe Shinohara is not available, or it's available, but it's not being produced anymore. So what you see is what you're going to get. Now, these are quite difficult points because they use the point blades as contacts. So when it pushes to that side, that contact is then going to give you power across here. The contact from here is going to give it across to there. And this is not isolated, so if you touch one side to touch the other, that's the way it's going to work. What we found when I used these is that if you had one slightly out of scale, out of gauge, a wheel, and it happened to touch here, you'd end up with these little spot weld marks all the way down here where it'd come across and basically you got a quick short coming all the way across. So it's not really recommended for the novice, and of course there's no spring-loaded blade or anything like that. But they do make some nice stuff. It does look nice. It is just a lot of work. You've got to do a lot of... it's TLC. It's a bit like owning a British car. You know, it's nice, but you've got a lot of work and it's going to be endless. There's a three-way point, and again, there's lots of spots where it's... going to need to be gapped and so forth like that. And again, it's an often American prototype. The others that I've used, this is the latest stuff I've been using. This is from Pecos Code 83 range. Again, electro frog, so same deal. The frog has spot welds on it. They don't have the DCC friendly section in there. You have to do that yourself, so that's a little bit more work, but the end result is this stuff is dependable, i.e. you can get it any time, okay? Most of your local hobby shops will have it. 83, it relies on your, it's been American, okay? They don't make any code 70 points at this stage. I believe that they're going to, some number 6s, and it's pretty good stuff. I've used it with pretty much out any major issues with these. I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest with you. So that was made of a bridge, which used everything except for the actual bridge track. Okay. Not much more I can say to that. Right. The other thing that I've got quite recently is this stuff here from Tillich. Okay. Now this is a German manufacturer. A couple of interesting things with these points. Now I have not installed these on a layout yet. Okay. I did buy them to do something like that. But they've already got the closure rails spot welded in location, and they've got a little tag here so that it makes it easier for you to wire the frog. Okay. And you can see their little insulation joint right there. Clear that out of the way so you can see it. There is no spring-loaded points here, and the reason for that is you'll see right here there is no join. Okay, so there's no hinge at all in there. So all they've done is they got rid of the flat bottom of the rail, and they just rely on the web to flex back and forth. So you're not really going to have any contact issues on this rail. Okay, and it's the same potential. These two are both the same potential as each other. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So I've sort of I've bought it for a particular project and purpose, which I will not discuss right now. There's no point. But you can get this from, I bought this from Orient Express Hobbies in Adelaide, South Australia. Fred convinced me, what can I say? And going down the list, you've got these. So this is HOM. So this is for your narrow gauge guys for Tasmania, down south, obviously, Queensland, or places like WA, which are going to have that, and of course South Australia. So this is proper 3'6", okay, and it's just the same thing. So no different to all their other type of points. So you've got your the point blades, you've got the hinge point, and you've got an electro frog, and you've got the spot welds. Okay, pretty good. Moving on. Okay, to track. All right. So here's all your different types of track, and again, these are just the ones I've used. I can't vouch for any further at this point. Here you've got. I'll get over there. This is the narrow gauge. Okay. So that's the Shinohara. Now, if you're using Shinohara and you're using these points, okay, you may end up with a problem because there's just a tiny bit difference in the thickness of the actual point. Okay. This is Pecos new code 70. So they've got code 70 and 83 in this. So if you're using code 70 track from Pico, use their points. Unfortunately, they don't have any points, but I would use their 83. This is code 55, code 70, code 83, code 83 concrete, and code 83 bridge track. And you're thinking, what do I need bridge track for? Well, certain locations in certain ways, not in Victoria or something like that, maybe New South Wales and definitely South Australia, they don't ballast the track across the bridges. So the sleepers are very, very close together. And this is the sort of thing you end up. And they're wider, of course, as well. And then in here, there's spots for guardrails. So there's already spots in there, you just feed them through. Okay, so that gives you some bridge track. Now, I'll just bring it across here so you can have a close look at that. So you're able to see the difference there. So that's the 55, so it's very, very spongy. The 70 and the 83, okay? So this is code 70, that's the Shinohara. And then of course down the back here, I'll show you that too. Okay. Now, this again I haven't used yet. This is Tillich dual gauge track. It's expensive, but I reckon for what I need to do it, it's probably going to work out real well. This is it only comes in around about 600mm or 2-foot lengths, and so you've got 12mm between there and there, and standard gauge there. And you will notice that the sleepers are really well sort of defined and placed further apart, a bit chunky. But it's probably more to the prototype. okay? And again, this is an experiment for me to see how this stuff actually behaves, okay? It's not like I don't believe Fred, but you can't sort of vouch for something unless you've tried it. Now, Atlas. This is Atlas Code 100. This is sort of semi-bulletproof stuff. One rail, as you can see there, is flexible, and the other one is fixed. So this one here is fixed, and that is flexible. So when you have to cut it, you have to cut it on one side only, okay? Now, word of warning, I've used this stuff before. This is Atlas Code 100. The detail on the Pandrol clips and stuff like that is good. It's exactly what you need, okay? However, be warned, turn this over, both sides of these are flexible, okay? So this rail is flexible and that rail is flexible. When that occurs, and you cut the track over a join and you have it on a curve, what you'll find is it will have a habit of splaying out. So when you get to the joins between the boards, you'll see them splay like that, and then you may have derailments. We did have a couple on Alice Springs where I'd used it on the main. So what I would suggest to you is, if it's fine, I think, for a home layout and stuff like that, be very careful if you're doing it on a baseboard join where you are on the apex of a curve. Okay, so that's my sort of advice to you. So most of the time I actually use the micro engineering at this point, and literally because I've got a stack of it and it's built for a particular purpose, that's what I use. It does have some idiosyncratic parts of that, especially the points. I wouldn't recommend them for a beginner. I would probably recommend your Pecos stuff. So but anyway, there you go. That's there's a quick outline for you. Enjoy.